Today is a cloudy but soon to be sunny and very warm October 21st, 2020. We're at the 17th Street Bridge by Rose Yard of Norfolk Southern. It's on the east side of the Altoona complex. Good pedestrian bridge here. See, it's quite foggy this morning, but it should burn off. We got an eastbound stack train stopped here at Rose. Looks like he's getting a new crew. It's sitting out on the fog, looking very ghostly. Usually intermodal trains don't linger here very long for crew changes. Looks like a crew member is bringing some supplies over. And they're having a little discussion. Most likely the outgoing crew and the incoming crew. Here comes another crew member, just left the yard office. Yard office is yonder. This is the busy east end of Altoona Yard, Rose interlocking. Should be showtime pretty soon. And here we see the power for local C42 doing some switching in the yard here. Got a couple of GP38s. Between this and the GE power on the intermodal train, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out which set of power I'm going to give my most attention to. C42 is the Lewistown local. We saw this train yesterday at Fostoria. Well, the intermodal's leaving with a new crew. There are two types of crew pools on this line. The short pool, that's a Conway, Pittsburgh to Altoona crew, and a long pool, which is from Conway to Harrisburg. Some of the slower trains or delayed trains necessitate a crew change here. Now we got one of those AC44 C6Ms on the point, and one of those monotonous C44-9Ws, 9914, and trailing is another DC to AC, AC44 C6M. They just look like C44-9Ws with different numbers on them. And he's off heading east. One busy road. On the right you see a couple of SD70 ACUs sitting. They're in the helper pool. They're waiting for a shove. These are former UP SD90 43 ACs that NS rebuilt. Coming in the background is train 25Z that runs from Croxton to Chicago. Apparently has some engine issues. He's going to stop and have somebody from the engine house check it out. In the consist, I did see the class unit of the SD70 ACE, number 1000. Well, the C42 is moving again. I heard radio transmission about replacing a knuckle. Incidentally, that eastbound intermodal train that got the recrew here was train 294. Runs from Chicago to E-Rail in New Jersey. best sound in railroading. Got a crew member of the local heading to the yard office for something. It's a flurry of activity here. Looks like he's heading east on his run. Got a stopped empty hopper train off to the east and a set of helpers to the left of this guy. And we got 294 pulling out. Nice GP38-2s. He'll likely stop at Annacinilocking east of here and wait for the intermodal to get out of the way. But you got eastbound Amtrak due around now too, so that might figure into C42's delay. 10:14 a.m. we're standing on top of stop 25Z intermodal from Croxton to Chicago. He's getting a couple of rear end helpers at Annacinilocking east of here, and the eastbound Pennsylvanian is approaching en route from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia, New York, train number 42. It's just about on time. Ooh. I got a whiff of some diesel fumes. Intoxicating. Well, he's finally moving. Looks kind of easy to jump on top of those containers, doesn't it? Usually the monster-sized intermodal trains get helpers on the rear. And this one looks about a couple of miles long. SD70 ACU. They were rebuilt right here in Altoona from Union Pacific SD90 43 ACs. Those are not the same SD70 ACUs that I saw parked here a little while ago. And here's the east side of the Juniata shops in Altoona, and you can see all kinds of stuff back here. And we're in downtown Altoona on the 17th Street Bridge. We're looking at old Alto Tower, the centerpiece of this town for many years. This tower was built in 1915. It was ultimately closed when this entire area was remotely controlled dispatched in 2012. This is where Cove Interlocking is today, and the Hollidaysburg Secondary diverges off to the south here. And here you can see the Hollidaysburg Secondary track diverging off to the left as we're looking west, up the hill. No more position lights. You can see that the fog is lifting. The sun has come out. It's beginning of Indian summer. It's going to go up into the upper 70s here today. Approaching Alto Tower at 10:55 is train 36A, a manifest en route from Conway Yard to Enola near Harrisburg. This is usually a monster train. This train often has John Deere tractors on it. And here they are. Going to Baltimore for export. Made in America. Hopefully you'll hear a lot of those words in the coming years. Yeah, I believe these automobile cars are going to the port of Wilmington, Delaware.
I guess, whenever it just went downhill from there. What time was that when you have out? Probably about 15 minutes ago, probably around 11 o'clock.
Yeah, 25Z.
You ever be able to walk out there with those pushers on there, 25Z? I don't know, we'll see what happens, we'll see what we can do there. Long train, so just take a minute for it to release on it.
Yeah, 25Z, that train we saw leaving the yard with that long intermodal train with the pushers. Stopped around the curve as one of his engines shut down. He's sitting up there and they're walking the train, and that's one hell of a long train to walk.
Yeah, what if you give it a shot? We'll give it a try. If not, let us know. Was not running, we think, over? Was running up the hill there. I'm guessing, with the curvature and the greasers and that, and it tripped the breaker on it. Okay. Yeah, but it is running now. All right, yeah, go ahead. Let's see what happens, I guess. Over. Let you know here in a few minutes. Get out here. Bye.
25Z's trouble continues.
a problem with possibly the synchros or the switch positioners. That point, over. So I never started back up after we were stopped. Correct. You didn't have it. All right. Yep. Get out of there. We'll let you know. 25E and then 0, 7108 the sun, 8187 on the side. I guess we'll give her a shot. Radio marker 72649. We got the spare in the cab air on her release. Let me know. Allegheny C42 over.
Dispatch is talking to that local we saw earlier.
Thanks, Bill.
And coming into view westbound, about to pass the tower at 1138, is 25V as in Victor. He's going to be switching from track 3 to 2 at Alto interlocking. 25Z on track number 3 has been having its problems with engines shutting down, but it's moving very slowly. But this guy's going to cross over and run around him. Train comes out of E-Rail in New Jersey and heads for Chicago. Carries a lot of steamship company containers. The train is about as colorful as the foliage is around here. SD70 ACU helpers roaring mightily up the grade. No more SD40Es in helper service. They've been very reliable helper engines for about the last 10 years since the early 2000s. Strikingly pink Ocean Network Express containers you see, which are growing in frequency on trains these days. There's a company that's headquartered in both Singapore and Tokyo. Almost immediately thereafter, we have a westbound empty hopper train approaching Alto interlocking. Actually, it's Cove right here. Have that heavy sound, but I'll take an EMD over that any day. We're now further west up the hill at the Brickyard Crossing. The only grade crossing west of Altoona until you reach the top of the summit. This used to be a gateless crossing, very busy through here. There are a lot of accidents. They've since put gates up, but this is always a very popular place to watch trains in the Altoona area. Turned out to be a gorgeous day. It's about 68 degrees and sunny. This is what Indian summer is all about. There used to be a signal bridge west of here, but that became a casualty, like all the others along this line. Foliage here is looking mighty good. Here's a rarity, pure EMD power. 2 SD70 ACEs on the point with a rather sick sounding horn, and 2 roaring SD70 ACUs shoving hard on the rear. I think that was train 21T from Harrisburg to Kansas City, Missouri. I got a confirmation on that train. That was 21G. That runs from, I believe, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, directly to the BNSF in Chicago. And he's usually loaded with J.B. Hunt containers, as that one was. J.B. Hunt will be smiling gaily from heaven. 1240, we got an eastbound coming down the hill, a loaded coal train. These are always impressive. Power heavy up front and in the back. Coming down track 3. Coal trains are few and far between on this line compared to years ago. They used to run like streetcars. idea how much more powerful those SD70 ACUs are compared to the SD40Es they replaced. The SD40Es were 3,000 horsepower per unit. These are 4,300 per unit. On a loaded coal train, you normally would have seen 4 SD40Es. Here, you only see 2 SD70 ACUs. Their braking power must be pretty dynamic as well. Pretty much stronger. And at 102, under brilliant sunshine and great foliage, is 21J. Runs from Rutherford Yard east of Harrisburg to Chicago. '21J was a good old-fashioned trailer train. Something you don't see a lot of on today's railroads. In fact, there used to be a company around here called Trailer Train. They used to build intermodal flats for the major railroads. Yeah, 116, the gates are going down. We have at least one westbound coming. Could be a drag race between 63V, a trash train, and 21E, a mail train. I think 21E is coming first. And that was Hotshot 21E. Runs from Morrisville, Pennsylvania to Willow Springs, Illinois. It's one of the hottest trains on the line. And chasing 21E, although I don't think he's going to catch up to him, this is 63V, a loaded trash train from a New Jersey landfill out to Mingo Junction, Ohio. He's going up track number 2. Boy, those SD70 ACUs at full throttle are loud. Louder than the SD40s, I think. Lead unit was an AC44C6M with a K5 LLA horn. Unusual for those locomotives. They probably just grabbed that from a EMD engine and put that on in the shop. Well, I made it. I'm at the top of the stairs at the Horseshoe Curve National Historic Landmark. Due to COVID, there's no funicular that you can take up here, so you gotta hoof it. I'm glad my cholesterol is 160. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be able to make it. Foliage really looks good up here. Best I've ever seen it. At 2:09 p.m., that was eastbound Hotshot 20K en route from Chicago to Croxton, New Jersey, passing this colorful panorama. Decent crowd here today. Well, it's a gorgeous day. Got a couple of SD70 ACU helpers coming down. Used to be a signal bridge over there where those engines are, but that's gone. Right behind the helpers is this eastbound manifest at 234. you'll see that Pennsylvania Railroad GP9 that's on display. It's been up here since the 80s. Used to have K4 1361 sitting there. But that was taken down to Altoona and restored for service and taken out of service, and I hear they may restore it again. We'll see. At 4:18 p.m. we have another eastbound. He's power braking down the hill past this foliage. Haven't seen any westbounds, but I'll take what I can get. This will be my last train here. It's like a loaded coal train. coal train power braking the heavy train down the hill. We see a westbound intermodal 23Z from Croxton to Chicago. What a monstrous train this is. I can hear the helpers. No, this is another train. This looks like the 21M from Croxton to Chicago. Wow. Moving a lot faster than 23Z. Here come the helpers of 23Z, and they are really roaring their guts out. Both of those trains are headed for Chicago. 21M is the hotter of the two, although 23Z is a hot train as it has UPS business on it. Well, so does 21M. UPS and FedEx. 21M is going to get the railroad over 23Z, that's for sure. Can still hear 23Z's helpers laboring up that grade, where 21M went up there almost effortlessly. A train usually has a lot of horsepower per ton, and it doesn't usually need helpers. Although it is a Wednesday, by the latter part of the week, 21M is going to be a pretty huge train and will most likely require helpers. Great end to this Horseshoe Curve autumn escapade. Back at the Brickyard, in for a treat now. And that monster train was 23M, runs out of E-Rail in New Jersey to Chicago, and that had a surprise on the point. I heard that that unit was sitting in Harrisburg, but they must have added it to the train there. The Lackawanna Heritage Unit, an SD70 ACE. That engine has a unique sounding horn, and when I heard that horn blowing approaching the crossing, it sounded vaguely familiar until I saw it, and then I almost jumped out of my clothes. That's the first time I've ever captured that heritage unit. You'll note that westbound intermodal went westbound on the number 1 track. I've never seen that before in all the years I've been coming here. They usually use number 3 and number 2 for westbounds and 1 and 2 for eastbounds. Of course, number 2 could be used either way, but now they reverse signal all 3 tracks, so you saw an example of that. Got another westbound coming up at 526. Sounds like he's got some General Motors power on the point. empty hopper train. I think there's another one sitting in Altoona. Got an eastbound loaded coal train that we saw at Horseshoe Curve. He's sitting just west of here on number 2 track. And the eastbound coal train is finally on the move on number 2 track at 5:35. Pulling back is all for all it's worth. He's coming to a stop. That lead engine in ES44AC had a beautiful, crisp Nathan K5HLL horn on it. I'm not sure what the notes are. Da, 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 da. Could that be it? I'm not sure. But it sounded great. It sounds like a diminished sixth, but it sounds like it's a major chord. The helper's just cut off of that train. The coal train's continuing east.
Now these guys will probably get down and help a train push back up the mountain.
Most likely.
Yeah.
I saw a westbound go by here a little while ago on number 1 track. I never saw that before.
On the one closest to us?
Yes.
Yeah, see, I don't understand because I live about a mile away and I hear them all night.
Oh.
And this is usually the eastbound track.
Yep.
But lately they've been running this westbound, so.
Yeah, I know they reverse signaled it all the way up. So.
Yeah.
So you're an engineer on Conrail?
No, sir, I repaired them.
Oh.
It's a Sam Ray shop. In
Oh, okay.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
Well, you must have did a pretty good job with them. I mean.
Well, I built them and repaired them, but then when Norfolk Southern took over, they closed the Samurai shop.
Oh.
But it is what it is.
That expression, I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Well, I'm rather partial to General Motors locomotives. They're like, to me, they can dig in, they're just good engines. Engineers love them. Every engineer I spoke to said, give me an EMD any day. So
well, yeah, I know of the EDM, and they either had a shop up in Erie, PA, or somewhere where they built them.
London, Ontario is for GM, and Erie is where they had the GEs.
Okay.
Yeah. Now GEs are all over the place. Westbound Amtrak, Pennsylvania at 6:10.
Yep. Pennsylvania, yep.
Yep, Johnstown next stop.
Maybe Latrobe.
Johnstown, Latrobe, Greensburg, and Pittsburgh. That's what he makes.
I wrote it, yep.
All right, I think I'll call it a day.